I spoke with our next guest, Michael Moore, 12 days ago before he went to Zuccotti Park to witness Occupy Wall Street firsthand. Tonight he's back to describe what he's seen and offer insight into how to harness the movement's energy as it continues to spread nationally. Our fourth story tonight is the fledgling movement takes shape. The rest of the media, besides Michael and me, finally take notice. And Mr. Moore tells us what it was like to take turns leading the crowd in this call and response.
They are thieves.
They are thieves.
They are gangsters.
They are gangsters.
They are kleptomaniacs.
They are kleptomaniacs.
They have tried to take our democracy.
They have tried to take our democracy.
And turn it into a kleptocracy.
And turn it into a kleptocracy.
Michael noted one major change since the movement began.
It's good to see the media has finally shown up.
Yeah, unfortunately it was CNN. He told protesters this was just the beginning of something big.
All great movements start with just a few people.
All great movements start with just a few people.
Whether it was the few people that were in the bar, the Stonewall Bar, down in the village.
Whether it was the few people that were in the bar,
That was a smaller crowd than this.
that was a smaller crowd than this.
And look what that's led to.
And look what that's led to.
Everyone will remember.
Everyone will remember.
3 months from now.
3 months from now.
6 months from now.
6 months from now.
100 years from now.
100 years from now.
That you came down to this plaza.
That you came down to this plaza.
And you started this movement.
And you started this movement.
As promised, joining me now, the filmmaker, activist, and author now of Here Comes Trouble, Michael Moore. Thanks again for coming in.
Thanks for having me. It's very bizarre to watch that because unless you're there, see, they don't allow amplification in the
Right.
park, so they have the system as you've explained on the show.
Relays, yeah.
Yes, where everyone relays to everyone in the back what's being said, but it sounds like a cross between either a priest saying mass.
Exactly, it's a catechism.
The
right?
Dominus Vobiscum,
Right.
Or a scene from Life of Brian,
Right.
where they're all Jesus is saying, "You are all individuals." And then
We're all individuals.
We're all individuals.
And the one guy says, I'm not. Or the other one at the back where somebody in the back goes, I think you just said, blessed are the cheesemakers.
Yes, right. But I agree with your last guest, though.
Jeff,
it is,
yep.
Yes, down there, it is such a wonderful experience to be there. The people are kind. The people are good to each other. They are attempting a form of democracy where there isn't like one leader that's telling them what to do and then they're supposed to follow along.
Right.
But everybody gets to sort of have their say, and it's interesting to watch. It's great to. I've been down there 3 times now, and I've been really impressed with what I've seen.
How much do the protesters owe the NYPD? Given that there's not been, there has not been any apparently serious injuries as a result of this. Obviously, the thing could turn overnight. That could be the dumbest question in the world. But right now, the NYPD made this into certainly a local story, and New York being the media capital of the world, anything that's a local story in New York gets some sort of attention nationally.
You can see, though, having been down there and having been part of this, when you say the NYPD, the grunts, the actual patrol officers, the guys that you and I know that we deal with, and you've worked in many cities. This is actually one of the better cities when it comes to the average police officer.
Yes, sir.
Treating you well and doing well, and it's, and you have your bad apples, definitely, but what you have here is management of the NYPD, the white shirts, and Ray Kelly and these guys that are really the ones down there itching for a fight. And you can see that a lot of the patrol cops are like, what's going on? Why are we doing this? and they're I got to believe that they have overplayed their hand here. They've made a huge mistake, and frankly, it was great news today when the bus drivers of New York City said they will not go to another one of these demonstrations because they were told to bring buses there to take the protesters away when they were arrested. They will not take protesters away in buses any longer, these union guys and women, and I think that's really a good thing. In fact, I personally would like to. I'll rent the truck or the bus to take away the white shirts of the NYPD next time they do something.
Yeah, you might be able to get, since the Transit Workers Union came out to side with the Occupy Wall Street crowd last week, that was an inadvertent, nobody could have forecast 700 arrests. It was an inadvertent value to that association. But now, one thing, I keep hearing a lot of complaints about the lack of specificity, and Jeff Madrick just pointed out that that it sort of represents the organic nature of this. But the origination point here is, to me, on this, never has anything in the history of mankind gotten better without somebody first standing up and going, this is wrong. I don't know how to fix this. If I knew how to fix it, I'd be fixing it, but I know this is wrong. Is that what's happening in this, do you think?
Yes, and that's enough right now. That's enough just for people to say, I'm sick and tired, I've had enough, I'm coming down with I'm going to participate with other people in this. The demands on that will come, that will evolve. But the people who are complaining about this, even some in the liberal press,
certainly
have complained about this. And frankly, they sound like our parents when the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan.
A bunch of noise.
I can't understand any of those words. Why don't they play something you can dance slow to? I mean, it's like, because first of all, yes, the majority of them who started this are young people.
Right.
I want them out. These young people, you went to Cornell.
Yeah.
I mean, you grew up here though in New York.
Yeah.
Remember the SUNY system?
Absolutely.
You could go to school for practically nothing.
Yep.
You could go to the UC system out in California.
You can go to Cornell for practically nothing because of a branch of SUNY being connected to that.
That's right.
That's a land grant.
Exactly. So that's what we grew up with. These kids are being told at 22, you've got to go out into the real world with a crushing debt.
Right, your mortgage.
40, 60, $80,000.
Right, you got a mortgage at 18 and you didn't even get a house for it.
That's right. So they believe their future has been stolen from them, and that's why they're there, and God bless them for being there.
All right, is this a new force in the political equation that we have, or is this something external to our political equation?
I don't think actually it's either. I think it actually is where the majority of Americans are at. Those people down there represent really where the majority, 72% of the country now, all the polls are showing that over 70% want the rich to be taxed. They want regulations put on Wall Street. They want those who committed crimes on Wall Street arrested. That's where the majority, the mainstream of this country is actually where these kids and these other people are at down there in Lower Manhattan. So frankly, I just think they're just the first ones. It had to start somewhere. Somebody had to burn the first bra. I mean, and always at first when a new movement starts, the people who are the ones who are out there, get attacked. Oh, look at that.
It's a bunch of noise.
But even though that happens, the majority of women, say for instance in the women's liberation movement, felt even back then that women should be paid the same as men. That women should have equal rights.
So it needed somebody to express it.
Somebody's got to kickstart this thing, and it has been kickstarted here in Lower Manhattan, down there in Zuccotti Park.
All right, which is the segue to our next topic after the break, which is where does it go from here? And with the NYPD now putting on its own videos of confrontations with Occupy protesters on YouTube, where does the media battle about this go from here? Back on those topics with Michael Moore next.